Okay, so to continue on with our beloved Scream Queen Marathon, as you saw, we are reviewing Prom Night. So the story begins with a bunch of kids playing in an abandoned school. They're playing hide and go seek, and three other kids come along. They see them playing. Uh, the older sibling forgets a book at school, so the other two kind of stay back for a sec. Then the girl decides to go in and see what's going on. Um, the kids start to bully this little girl whose name is Robin, and she admits to them, "No, I really don't want to play," and they essentially back her out of the building, where she eventually falls and she essentially dies. The kids decide to keep it a secret and make a promise amongst themselves, and they just leave, and Robin just lies there, and oh, somebody already knows.
Throbbing little arrogant dicks. I mean, come on. Why would you do that? This little girl, all she wanted to do was check out what you were doing. She didn't even really want to play. So, this is actually a very good definition of being bullied to death. Literally. She was bullied, and then she fell out a window and died. Great.
Okay, so now we've flashed. We see the dad, who, as you can see, is played by Leslie Nielsen. Um, the family has just found out about Robin's death. Um, One interesting thing is the boy is actually Robin's twin. The brother and sister, they've moved on, but clearly their family is still distraught by the death of their sister. Um, and the 6th anniversary just so happens to fall on Kim and Alex's prom. And we are about to see the kids who were responsible for Robin's death. We see them getting threatening phone calls. We see them as now late teenagers. We see them with their prom dates, except for Nick, who we find out is dating Kim. And here is one guy who got framed for Robin's murder because they never figured out that it was the kids. Now we see Wendy. Wendy is, well, she was the kid that initiated the promise among the kids, and she grew up to be a total and complete bitch. And as we can see, Kim is friends with Jude, and she's also friends with Kelly, the two girls who were responsible for her sister's untimely demise, and she's also dating Nick.
Okay. Can somebody please agree with me? This is slightly creepy. We have the two girls who were responsible for their friend's little sister's death. They are best friends with her. They are close with her. And they don't seem to be at all remorseful for the fact that they caused this death. In fact, they are so unremorseful that they've taken up a friendship with her. And then we have the school stereotypical bully who is so unremorseful, so arrogantly bitchy, that she wants prom queen status over her, despite the fact this is the anniversary of the day she caused her rival sister's death. Wow, the humanity of it all. I can honestly say the first time I watched this, I didn't feel too bad about most of these guys. Most likely meeting a very, very violent and gruesome face.
And we are back at this school where Robin had died. The adults are still trying to figure out what happened to Robin Hammond's character. The audience obviously knows better. We know that Robin's death was the cause of the kids bullying her. What I love about Prom Night is that Jamie Lee Curtis, even though she is technically the main character, she uh isn't always the main focus. You watch the film and it's like the film is trying to find redeeming qualities in many of the characters. Wendy has no redeeming qualities. She is unremorseful, she just wants what she wants, and doesn't really care who gets in her way, which is pretty much the ideal bitch in these sorts of films. You don't feel bad when you know the end is coming to her. And it's the same with establishing with the character Lou, who's threatened Kim and now Alex is trying to protect. You don't feel bad when you see any harm come to him. You do feel bad for Alex because all he was trying to do was protect his only remaining sibling. Once again, Wendy, no redeeming qualities, just absolutely in it for herself. Um, we also see the stress of the family. We see the stress of the Hammond family, the dad, who this was not the day to make him angry. We see the stress of the cop trying to figure out what happened to Robin. We see the stress of Kim. She misses her sister. And we see Nick.
Nick. Okay, what do we say about Nicky Boy? I actually didn't really want any harm to come to this character. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I watched this, I was about maybe 11 years old. I didn't want any harm to come to him because he felt guilty. I mean, of course, there is something wrong with him, the fact that he is dating the sister of the girl whose death he caused, but he feels bad and genuinely wants to tell her. This is a very redeeming fact of this character. You want him to survive.
You see him flash to where he's a kid, and you see him as a late teenager, and he really wants to tell her, but just can't. And then we see Wendy, who, once again, these are the two most unredeeming characters of the whole film. You don't feel bad for them at all. You see Kelly, and you do see Jude, and you look at them and you think, oh, warning. You think, I do and I don't want these characters to come to any harm. On one hand, they caused Robin's death, and I haven't said murder because I don't think any of these guys wanted to murder Kim's sister. I don't think that was in the cards at all. And they're practicing for the prom because they're prom king and queen. No, I don't think that murder was the intent at all. I think that it was an unfortunate event that occurred, and there was just no intent to kill. But we see the family getting ready for prom. We see Kim getting ready as prom queen. We see Alex getting ready for his first prom. And we see Nick again, and he's looking at Robin's photo. Once again, he feels guilt, and you can feel that from the character, and you actually end up liking Nick just a little bit because of how guilty he feels. I mean, of course he was still responsible, but at least he wanted to do the right thing, whereas you don't get an inkling of that from any of the other characters. So now we are at a standard 80s prom, which This was around the time my parents themselves would have gone to prom, so it's kind of interesting to get a peek at that era. It was so unlike my own prom, which was close to 10 years ago. So we see Miss Curtis's dance moves, which I found to be very impressive. I didn't include too much of the dance scene in this montage just because it was so long. I thought it was awesome though. They put a lot of time and effort into making this actually seem like it would have been a real prom. Including the I really want to have sex with my girlfriend moment, which Kelly didn't want, thus it didn't happen. And Kelly is alone and vulnerable and becomes the first victim. And redemption is had in terms of Kelly. And then we flash to Jude, who is with Slick in his van, and you know harm's just about to come because once again, Jude fell into the stereotypical sex, drugs, murder. And poor Slick, who is witness to this whole fiasco, well, he has to die as well. Which is kind of sad because he didn't do anything. Then we flash back to the prom. People are dancing. No idea that anything is going on. And then we go to Wendy. Oh, Wendy, your death will be, how shall we say, long and probably most deserving out of any of the other characters. I will give this to Wendy. She put up one hell of a fight towards the end. She really just did not want to die. And this was probably one of the few redeeming things about Wendy. She didn't want to die. She put up one hell of a fight. Whereas none of the other characters really put up as big of a fight as she did. And you kind of feel bad. She put up such a big fight, and in the end, it was all kind of meaningless. And she meets her fate with the axe. So the last, but most certainly not least, is Nick. But remember at the beginning, Lou wanted revenge for with Kim because he got attacked in the cafeteria. So Nick kind of gets saved here, which is kind of interesting. Had what happened earlier not occurred, Nick would have died right here. And Lou would have walked away scot-free. But once again, you're not too sad that Lou is gone because he was a dick. They do these things you're not too sad when the nasty character dies. And this was a dead giveaway. The killer was never after Kim, as we could see. He kept trying to throw her off, and that's when she figures it out. The reason why he was never after her and why he was going after everybody else but her. And it flashes to Robin, it flashes to them as kids, and Kim trying to protect the person who's killed two of her friends and her rival. And it flashes to Robin one more time, and then we see that it was the brother, it was the twin, because he had seen what they had done to her. This makes you feel very sorry for not just his character, but for Kim's. They didn't ask for this, and you really do feel bad that Alex dies.
Okay, so the ending of this film. This was an awesome slasher flick. I'm sorry, but this killer took When Opportunity Knocks, take it to a whole new level. I mean, he thought about getting revenge, and he thought about it for 6 years for his twin sister's death. And he was technically close with them because his sister was close with two of the victims, which was Kelly and Jude. He was close with Nick because he was dating Kim. He was dating Kim, and not so much close with Wendy. But you know what? When someone is that popular, it's easy to get at them. So all he had to do was wait for one specific event where they would all get together, their guards would be down, and then kill them. I salute him for his creativity, although he did get Lou in the end instead of Nick, but let's face it, Lou was Dick. So I don't think anybody was crying too many tears when that character died. Needless to say, you don't really feel too bad when those three characters died, but you're really rooting for Nick to survive. And despite Jamie Lee Curtis being the scream queen of this film, she was never necessarily in any great danger. Unlike future films where the brother is going out of his way to kill her, but we're not going to get too much into that. Next week review of Halloween. But she was never in any danger in this film. No danger was represented to her. Alex was never going to kill her. He just wanted her boyfriend. So in the end, awesome Scream Queen film on behalf of Jamie Lee Curtis. It was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It's also a Canadian film. Leslie Nielsen, I do believe this was his last truly serious film before he got onto the Airplane series. He was awesome. I thought that his performance was very, very well done. And it was actually quite shocking to see him in a serious role because up until I had seen Prom Night, all I had seen him in was comedy roles. So, if you've never seen Prom Night, I recommend you go find it somewhere on the internet. If there's still a video store in your hometown, try to find it there. Awesome film. See you next review. The next one is Road Games.